unusual, Kyle. Why can't he just say, yeah, it is? But that's the part I don't understand about Kyle Shanahan. We all know that something's happening here at training camp that's different. We all know that Kyle Shanahan is trying to do something different at training camp. We got writers and media out there who at least understand that, this is different. The way the 49ers are trying to skin this cat is different. So why does he have to make it seem like he's not doing anything unusual? Like that, all he has to do is say, you know what, it's a fair point. We are in an unusual spot here. We love our top three quarterbacks, and Brandon Allen became available, and we this and that. And just acknowledge that it's different, but use it to praise the quarterback quality in the room. Why would he try to, not pick a fight, but why does he try to not acknowledge that what he's doing is different? I don't get it.
I don't either. Do you sense any hint of insecurity in those responses? Because to me, I don't necessarily see them as out of place for Kyle Shanahan based on the way that he has basically addressed the media in the past. Like, this is kind of on par. But John brought up a good point. He was whispering right during the cut. It kind of gives you Chris Paul vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, are you coaching? Are you questioning me as the head coach in this situation? And I kind of feel like it comes from a place of insecurity about the quarterback position. Not because he doesn't know who's his guy, but because I think of the shock that has been sent through all of Santa Clara in that building based on last season's end.
Right.
With how many quarterbacks you've been through, how many quarterbacks Kyle Shanahan has generally been through during his era. And he's simply trying to figure out his room right now, and he doesn't know. And so what better way to basically move this question down the line than to just continuously deflect? And I think he's also trying to stand up for a guy that he brought in. It brought Brandon Allen in to, I guess, compete for a position. But people are just wondering why he's there. And maybe he's also trying to, look, if they're trying to move off of one of these quarterbacks, maybe you want to make all of them seem like they're as good as they possibly can be. So you're trying to prop them up a bit and keep their trade value at a certain level. But then according to John Lynch, and we'll have the sound in a bit, but he was asked a similar question about, well, what does the four quarterbacks mean for the 49ers this year? And his response was, we haven't had any interest or outside calls coming in about trade requests for the quarterbacks. Okay, so what are you trying to do, Kyle? Because to me, I hear someone that's a bit insecure about his room right now because the first few practices in training camp, the quarterbacks did not perform well, Brock Purdy included. Over the weekend, they've been much better. But he still doesn't sound to me like he's at a point where he believes that this position is where he wants it to be if he's going to get to the Super Bowl.
I'm not sure what the reason is, but all I know is he doesn't have to do it the way he's doing it. It would be like if the Warriors brought in, say they brought JaMychal Green back, and all of a sudden JaMychal Green starts running with the starters, and Draymond's backing up. I mean, people be like, what's going on with JaMychal Green? Well, what do you mean? Well, he's playing with the starters. Well, he was a three when Draymond. I mean, like, Brandon Allen, nobody even knew who he was 3 months ago. So I just don't understand why you wouldn't acknowledge that. Like, why wouldn't you just say, look, we just think we got four really good quarterbacks. Why would you say, you think it's different? You think that is? Like, here's the other thing. Good for Eric Branch, because every time Kyle said something, Eric said, well, it is different than your previous training camps. And that's why Kyle kind of had to back off a little bit. But it just strikes me as a little bit unusual. Like, why, when you're doing something a little bit different, why not acknowledge you're doing something a little bit different?
The tone is strange because, and let me, now you got my mind thinking, I want to run this by you.
Yeah.
To me, it would be like the Warriors bringing in Dario Saric to take reps and minutes from Jonathan Kuminga. But then when someone asks you about it, you get defensive and say basically, oh, well, he's actually earned this and this is why. And your question isn't really that valid because I know what I'm doing, which Steve Kerr would never do.
Right.
He would answer the media and he might deflect a bit, but he would answer them straightforward. He'd be cordial about it. And he'd say, this is what we're working on. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Instead, we're hearing a similar situation applied to the quarterback room for Kyle Shanahan. And his first response is a one-liner about, he's actually third team. Like as if he's questioning how much the media is paying attention to what he's doing.
Right.
That to me is a little off base, but I mean, it also seems to be who he is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Jason's in San Mateo. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
Nothing much. Just taking a little break from work, listening to you guys.
Thank you.
My man.
Yes, sir. Hey, so my thing is, are they really going to compete in the preseason for this starting job, even though they already kind of named the starting job to Brock Purdy? Because even though he won these games in a row, I still think that Kyle Shanahan don't even know who his quarterback really is. We've seen the struggles, like you mentioned, from Brock Purdy in the playoffs, and then we still don't know what Trey Lance is all about. And then we got Sam Darnold, probably the better out of the bunch as of right now, still trying to find his foot in the league. So, do you feel like I feel like they should open up the playbook for Trey at that too, and then base that performance and then Brock performance because, like I said, his injuries.
See, I think that's a fair question, Jason. Here's what I think, and then I'll ask you. I think Kyle Shanahan thinks Brock Purdy is better than the other three quarterbacks. But I think he thinks the other three quarterbacks are essentially the same, and he wants to, talent-wise, they're different stylistically. But I think he thinks Purdy's the best, but he has no clue who the second best quarterback is on his team, and that's what this is all about. And I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that Brandon Allen could end up being the number 2. 1, 2, 2.
Wow.
But I'm not saying it's likely, but it's certainly possible.
Well, anything is possible with Kyle Shanahan, according to him.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that to me becomes increasingly more clear each and every season Kyle Shanahan is the head coach of the 49ers, which is he's going to try and remake the wheel if he needs to. Like he doesn't care about precedent or history as it applies to his situation because he has the utmost confidence that he can get the most out of whoever is going to be under center with the quarterbacks. Like he knows, he has a historical context, obviously, of what it takes to win a Super Bowl, what it takes to be a successful team, how he wants to build. He's been in locker rooms since he was a child. He knows how to win football games. But in the modern game, in the modern day, in 2023, to tell him, hey, Kyle, you can't do this a certain way with your quarterbacks, he'd tell you why.
Right.
He would ask you why. Because each and every season, we learn more about what is demanded of the position and how crucial that is to the success of an NFL team. And so Kyle Shanahan understands he's got to get creative because I don't even think he believes Brock Purdy is his franchise quarterback right now. He hopes that he is. He believes he's the best man in the building to do the job. But if you ask Kyle Shanahan, I don't know that anybody ever would, but if you asked him, hey, do you think Brock Purdy's your quarterback in 5 years? He wouldn't say unequivocally yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And he'd be like, why would you ask that question?
Well, I would ask that question to try to get a sense of how much confidence he has in him.
Exactly.
That's the only reason. But even if he had the utmost confidence in him, he probably wouldn't answer that. I just think, you used an interesting thing. Every year he tries to, or, he reserves the right to recreate the wheel or redo something. Well, every time you do that, you're going to get asked about it. And so that's the part that's the part that's puzzling to me. This guy's been here 6 years. He's not on the hot seat. He's acknowledged to be one of the best minds in football. He's a terrific play caller. There's nobody out there who doesn't think that Kyle Shanahan's a pretty darn good coach. And he's not in his first or second year. So when a writer asks him a question that I think's fair about, yeah, you know what? The way you're assessing the quarterback position here at training camp, it's a little bit different than you've done it in the past, or it's different than many teams do it. Can I ask you about it? Well, it's not like he almost wants to say it's not different. Yes, it is. You know what I mean? Like he's almost like me at times when I feel like I might be wrong about a discussion, but I'm like, yeah, I'm just not going to give in. I'm not giving in under any circumstance. Now, I've grown up since then, and I will give in if I'm wrong, but it just feels like he's digging something that he's just not gonna give in on.
Well, you're both competitive people. That's also a thing, too.
Yeah.
But, well, so is that why you don't always align yourself with Kyle Shanahan? You ever heard that
No.
phrase, like, you don't like people that you are alike?
I kind of do like Shanahan, and I think he's a good coach. I still think he's really young, and that's where this is coming from, believe it or not. What is he, 43, 44 now?
He also has mentioned in the past
And he is arrogant.
that he does not want to coach into his 60s.
Well, he will when he doesn't.
So he
have
might
a
be
Super
right
Bowl by then.
in his prime of his head coaching career. You never know.
I mean, the one thing I'm not crazy about with Shanahan, but he is arrogant, but he's Mike Shanahan's son.
Who was out there, by the way, this weekend? Mike Shanahan was out there.
I bet he was looking tanned.
Red or tan?
Oh, come on.
What?
He's bronze. Mike Shanahan's skin tone, I believe, is the greatest skin tone in all of professional sport.
Sunblock?
It's just incredible. He's just, you'd almost think he was Italian. He's very, I love his complexion. Kyle Shanahan's 43.
Melanin talk.
43 years old. So maybe he just needs to, still like not quite altogether comfortable
at the
in his
podium
own.
this weekend. He looks like he's 43 going on 53.
He's getting the gray hair.
Oh, yeah.
It happens.
He just looks like he's being taxed by these four quarterbacks. I mean, such difficult decisions to make right now.
And Eric Branch is just holding his feet to the fire.